We're going to be talking through this MLB slate. I didn't end up really playing much last night, but Sheets had a nice night. Sheets, talk a little bit about it, and we'll get into today's slate.
Yeah, I have a couple of things I wanted to say about fantasy baseball. Let me see if I can find the actual lineup I had from yesterday. I was in the Monster on FanDuel. I ended up getting I think it was 8th or something like that. But you know how baseball works. I had guys. I had the opportunity to maybe have guys up at the plate to. I wouldn't have gotten first, but I would have a chance to get second. Mm-hmm. So first, I guess I'll just share that lineup just for fun. I mean, you guys saw me build it right there. So and talk through it. So this had the Seattle Dodgers combination, and I usually just do straight 4-4s, but for some reason this got me the 4-3 and it got me Diaz at this catcher. And it turns out this lineup was 100% duped, with the exception of Diaz. And I was covered by someone had Contreras, who had a home run. So I was dead like the whole time. I was rooting for Seattle and the Dodgers. I just didn't realize it. But that's fine. And this actually worked out pretty well. We're more than happy to get this. So, but that's not what I wanted to talk to you about. So I was looking at the DraftKings lineups. I had a couple of DraftKings things too, and you'll recall that when we spoke about it at 12 and at 6, I said that if you went to the straight Sims, and I knew this was going to happen, I was going to get 80% Washington, and that's the way it was going to be. And I didn't want to play it, whatever it is. And as I'm watching Washington do their thing, with Abrams and all whatever, I'm like, oh my God, should I have just done this, right? And it turns out I don't think that was even the winner anyway. But that's not even the point. What I was getting at is I was looking at some of the lineups that people played that they were using Washington, and I was looking at the exposures. And I will say this, that they were actually higher owned than I really even thought they would be. And the reason for that is, number one, people are using Sims, obviously, and getting what I was saying. And the second thing was that, when people play 150, even if they don't use the Sims, when they're going to jam in a pitcher, they're only naturally going to say, okay, in case this doesn't work, I better have some against him, So all the Glasnow people also probably were sort of overweight, I think, on the Washington people. And the reason why I bring that up is we talk about leverage a lot, about what it really means to get leverage and when you need to go ballistic and go straight against them. And we talk about that there's two ways. Let's say there's a really chalky pitcher. Couple of ways to get leverage is, number one, you could, get the actual hitters against them. And certainly, I guess that makes somewhat sense. But another way to get leverage is get a different pitcher, in the same price range. And another thing, and we talked through this yesterday when I was talking about the different ways you could build your hitting. I was either going to be getting to these chalky Kansas City or White Sox cheapos, or just totally punting and going into these, trying to get to the Braves or whatever. But at the end of the day, you played stuff like the Mets and Seattle and Dodgers. All that seemed to work out. And you don't have to, if you want to get leverage, get direct leverage against what you want to get leverage on. You know what I mean? And I think that people, because listen, people have the same access, the same Sims as I do, right? And when they run this stuff, they're going to naturally get to these direct leverage plays. And I think that they're going to be probably a little over-owned, relative to their actual chances of winning, so be careful about that. And when you see results that happened yesterday, I knew it. I knew I should have just played freaking Washington. First of all, it didn't. I don't even know if it won anyway. And second of all, I think that if you played that slate out a million times, given the ownership and all that stuff, I think that it would have still been a bad play, to play the Washington. So that was. I was just kind of thinking through that a little bit.
Yeah. No, I hear what you're saying. I've often I think it does happen more than people think in baseball.
Yeah.
All right. Should we? Do you want to go through game by game here?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Let's start off with your Yankees and Blue Jays.
So first of all, the overall look of the slate. I want you to tell me if there's any weather concerns. I never really looked at it yet.
Yeah.
But it's sort of looking to me very not similarly, but that it seems pretty. I won't say straightforward. I mean, I have a couple of pitchers that I like a small handful. There's one little difference on FanDuel, which I'll get to. I prepared for that a little bit. And I do have some legitimate priority stacks, and I didn't build to see how you could actually play them the way I want them, the way I want. Now, as we start off, Yankees Toronto, this is not one of them. Like, I'm not getting to either of these pitchers as like top priorities. Like when I look at Kikuchi, for example, he's certainly like 10th or something like that, like on my list, which I guess brings him into play as far as 150 match or whatever it is. But aside from that, and then like Rodon, he was, someone who was good when I saw him, right, against Miami. And I actually look at his ownership, and he doesn't rate all that great, but if he's really going to be like 6% owned, I don't know. I mean, again, let's see where the owners. Let's see what my other builds look like. I currently have him listed, just so you know, as like 11th or 12th best pitcher. So it's not like really something I want to play. I'm just kind of like looking at it. Yeah. As far as the hitting goes, kind of the opposite. I do have some Yankees, but not as a priority. I have the Yankees as kind of like my 5th or 6th top stack, and not getting to Toronto.
Yeah, so this is one it's interesting because I actually early projections sort of like some of Toronto, just partly I think it's the pricing. Clement is 2,600. He should be they projected him bat 6th. Kind of Vallejo, but that, I mean, it's not. I don't really want to play that one. Danny Jansen's 3,100. So I personally, I think both pitchers I could make a case for if it was a smaller slate. Sure, I just think on this slate I probably don't end up too high on either of them. I sort of like the Rodon as to get different idea if I had to pick one, and I think you could play some hitters in this spot. I mean, the Yankees have a bunch of guys historically great against lefties, and you have a Blue Jay team that's really cheap. But yeah, at first look, I didn't get to anything. When I looked at some of the pricing and tried to look at some builds, I did think it made like I could see why people could get to a little bit of the Toronto side, but overall, it's probably not the most interesting game. If it was a smaller slate, I think we'd probably be doing a lot more in this one.
And I did find the one game with the probable rain out. We'll get there in a minute.
Oh yeah, there's the White Sox game, which is unfortunate because I like the pitcher. I like Brady Singer.
Do you know the White Sox, I think, have scored like over 1 run like 3 times this season or something?
I know, it's crazy, right?
and I see Brady Singer with 7% ownership against this team.
Yeah,
but it's not playing, so I'm not. Well, if I'm not playing it, let's put it
right. It seems unlikely. Yeah.
Right. Cleveland, Boston. Okay. I don't know. Make a bigger slate, small XX. That's kind of where I'm at. I don't really get much of anything in this game.
I'm not getting to anything either really in this game, and I think that's pretty much where I'm going to leave it because I don't. There's nothing I specifically like. If I had to do anything, maybe you could argue for a Cleveland stack, but they're so expensive. I just think that it's probably a pass for me, so I'm okay with moving on.
Okay, so I have a question for you.
Yes. Who
Who is Jared Jones?
I don't know like anything about him other than I've heard his name on the prospect thing. I should know more, to be honest. I just don't have as much, as much information on him. He's really young. I know he's a high level prospect, but I don't know much other than that.
Well, I know he's getting like 17 to 20% ownership at 8,500.
Mm-hmm.
He rates okay. I have better 8,500s to talk about, or one better 8,500 to talk about. But first start in New York? Even though it's Yankee Stadium? Oh, he's pitched there.
First start in New York. Yes, I'm sorry.
First start in New York? Got to be some. I don't know. And I have Quintana. What's that?
He's got good strike. His strikeout stuff has been great his first 3 starts, just for what it's worth.
Well, I have him projected fine. I have him projected on DraftKings as like my 5th, tied with my 4th or 5th best option. 17.5% ownership. Yeah, reasonable. And then the other side of this, I have Quintana, who's a little, less sexy, but he's just. I have him just a little bit worse, 7,200, 15% ownership. That's going to be. I imagine that's where he's going to end up being. So I don't mind either of these guys as kind of like as secondary pieces. As far as hitting goes, I'm currently not getting to either of the hitting.
Yeah, I'm not getting to the hitting either. You got this is a 7.5 total here. I do think that I'm going to end up playing Jones. I'll dig a little bit further. I mean, I know he's a top level prospect. I didn't know where he lands on everything, but just based on what he's done so far, obviously somebody should consider against a Mets team that we've definitely seen Definitely taking advantage of it some points early this season. I can't do like I like Quintana as a real life pitcher, and I say it over and over again. On a full slate to play him when he's not in the 6K range, or you're not getting these crazy savings, doesn't feel like a good DFS play. Just very, very, very low upside in general. Is not a strikeout guy. He can hold another team, but you really need them to score like less than like 1 run or less. You just have a much more narrow pathway of victory. But I guess he is 7,200. I just wish, for me, if it was a little cheaper, I'd consider it. As of right now, I'm probably not going to do it.
Okay, so this next game, San Diego, Milwaukee, this is the one difference I have between sites. Like I have as Cease as a better option on FanDuel, I guess because of price, than on DraftKings. At DraftKings, he's pretty fully priced, to say the least, at 10-7.
Yeah.
And so I have him like fourth today, where on FanDuel, I have him rated third. I have him like above Gilbert on FanDuel, I guess because of the pricing. Aside from that, comments, not much of anything else for me.
So I like Cease. Again, expensive, so it depends on how your builds go. The pitching with Miley sort of doing like the bullpen long relief makes maybe a little bit less interesting, and I don't usually stack like crazy against Miley unless there's nobody doing it. I don't mind San Diego as a stack, or certainly as a complimentary stack. At least, Machado's price, Bogart's price are very reasonable. Even Tatis below 6K is always a little tempting to me. So I can get behind San Diego as certainly a mini stack, if not a full stack today. That's the first offense that I've actually liked it all.
And which one is this? Milwaukee or San Diego? Milwaukee.
San Diego.
Oh, San Diego, right, against Milwaukee.
So that's all I got there.
Any particular players on San Diego that you like more than others, or you like this? Like the catcher position? I like this guy.
Campusano is cheap enough, and it's a good stadium upgrade. But so yeah, I think that Campusano is Campusano, Bogarts, Machado, Tatis, all 4 of those guys I like a lot.
So Cronenworth is out, so someone's replacing him.
It'll probably be Azakar playing, who usually, but it's the lefty anyway, so he would probably have been playing anyway. I think we've got Cronenworth as still questionable, even though I'm not sure.
Oh, yeah, maybe you're right.
There is a chance.
I see him day to day, right? Okay.
Yeah, but somebody else may come in because it is a lefty-lefty matchup, so there's time to do it. I like what Power says here. He said he's playing Jared Jones because his real name is Jared Jones, spelled a little differently. That's pretty funny.
Yeah, it's good enough for me. Right?
The same name as the guy. Yeah, if there's a guy named Bobby Firestone, I'm probably taking a shot.
I'll take a shot too.
We already did the Gavin Sheets thing for a while, so
yeah, sure did.
Why not? All right. So next up is the rain game, right?
Yeah, I'm not even going to talk about that.
Yeah, I'll just say that if the game is a go, it's great pitching conditions and it's a good matchup, and I would definitely be playing Brady Singer if that game is a go. All right. Atlanta.
All right, so Atlanta, Houston. Hunter Brown is coming off of 2 negative point performances.
Yeah.
But he's 6,500. I'm gonna play him if I get to him. I'm not gonna do it on purpose, but I wouldn't mind. I mean, he's just too good to be 6,500. I don't care if he's against the freaking 27 Yankees. You know what I mean? I don't know. That's my stupid analysis of this. Aside from that, the usual. If you can get to Atlanta, play some Atlanta. I'm not getting to Houston, and I'm not getting to Lopez. Again, this is one of the Lopez's that you want me to play. I keep forgetting which is the Lopez I can play and which one I can't. Look at this 0.75 ERA, like an OG. Look at this. He hasn't given one run the whole season against a team that might not be that great. So I don't know. I don't want to oversell my Hunter Brown play. I'm just commenting that he's just awfully cheap considering what he could do. And no one's going to play him. I don't imagine. I mean, he's given negative 27 points in his last, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he's playing Atlanta. But listen, there are obviously better plays, but I figure I just throw it out there.
I'm a little worried there's something maybe wrong with him. I don't know. Like even starting the year, like even just his pitch count and the thing, I'm just worried there's something wrong. And if there's something wrong, I think that I have to have an interest in Atlanta at low ownership. So that's what I'd say is unless Atlanta's ownership skyrockets, I have some interest there, and I have some interest in Houston. I know they let everything down yesterday with this game. I think this is a spot where you could go right back to it on both sides offensively. Lopez has been good so far, and there's definitely matchups. I played him last time he started in my biggest buy-in. I am not probably going to do it in this one, and like I said, I think I'm more on the hitting side of this one. I really like Atlanta and Houston both as pivots off the Dodgers.
So, all right. So three like there's a lot of exposure in these last 4 games for me.
Yeah,
between pitchers and hitters and all this stuff.
Yep.
So I'm not going to probably be expected to have too many fantasy points going into these last 4 games. This is where I think a lot of the action is. Let's just start with the Chicago, Arizona. This is first here anyway, and I do have the Cubs rated extraordinarily high, both on DraftKings and on FanDuel in this park with their bats or whatever. So I will just throw that out there. And I have no interest in the pitchers. And then I also have Arizona as very, very highly rated as well. So you could game stack this if you want. And I have them on both sides also. So both sides of the plate, I like a lot in this spot.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is going to be a chalkier, thing, especially the Cubs. But I don't mind the Arizona as a thing. I don't know if I want, again, I don't usually, I'm still trying to get my head straight with Kyle Hendricks because he doesn't seem to be at all anything close to what he used to be. But I still have the Cubs a little bit ahead of Arizona. But like you said, 2 of them, I have them right up there. In fact, starting with that Houston game, I really think there's things to do in all these games. And I like the hitting, the Atlanta, Houston, Chicago, Arizona. Those are all teams that I would have very high on my list today. So, in fact, I think they're 4 of my 5 favorites that we have right in a row here. So I agree with you. I like the hitting a lot here and prefer the Cubs, but definitely okay with either side. And we have Seattle and Cincinnati with.
No, I have St. Louis and Oakland.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, they're all 6. Yeah.
And here's where you have the one of the top pitchers. I mean, I have three top pitchers coming right 1, 2, 3 here, and one is I have Lance Lynn rated 3rd right now. The Oakland matchup is it's still good. Lance Lynn righty is what I like, so I like him quite a bit. And then hitting wise, I do have the Cardinals as kind of like I think on FanDuel as a secondary. Like when I say secondary, I mean behind the Dodgers, obviously behind the Cubs, behind Arizona, behind the Atlanta Yankees spends or whatever it is. But I just do have St. Louis just kind of like poking their head up there. But aside from that, Lance Lynn is clearly one of the top pitchers on the slate for me, at least.
Yeah, I have Lynn up there. I think it's an interesting conversation if you want to think about the Lynn versus Jones. Jones, based on his limited 3 starts so far, seems to have more upside. And Lance Lynn is probably going to be a little more popular. I do have Lynn as the guy though right now. It's interesting because there's Lance Lynn. The one way he always gets hit is the lefties, and in this case you don't really have you don't have very good lefties in Oakland. You got Bleday. I'm sorry, yeah, you've got Bleday. You've got Seth Brown. At batting 5th, Toro's better from the right side. He's a switch hitter. Then Lawrence Butler and Ryan Noda down. I just don't think it's very strong lefties. So I would definitely have. I definitely have Lance Lynn as a currently one of a cash game type of pitcher play. I don't have JP Sears, but I don't think it's crazy. I'd be so much. I would, and I said this last time when he faced Texas. I think that he's actually not that bad. I think it's TBD. It's always hard on these really bad teams because. You just get in this losing mentality effort. Like when you're only winning 1 out of every 33 games you play, and everybody, I don't know. I just always feel like it hurts these guys. But I still believe the talent level is decent enough. I don't like the matchup in the sense that historically these Cardinals have been good against lefties. This year they haven't really been good at all. And even if I'm not playing Sears, I don't think I'm stacking St. Louis, but I certainly could be talked into a mini stack, and I would consider some You've got Herrera, who might be batting 5th at 3,100, who's been really good to us so far this year. So it's just little value pieces maybe from St. Louis. But mostly I actually think both sides of the pitching is solid in this game, especially Lance Lynn.
So Seattle and Cincinnati, I have so these are I have the two best pitchers on the slate right now facing each other. I have Hunter Green and Logan Gilbert. But on just so you know, on FanDuel, Gilbert kind of drops below, I guess, because of pricing for whatever reason for me. But I do have Gilbert and Green as the top two pitchers on the slate. And listen, I saw it last night when I had these Seattle stacks. They really are just a different team when these righties are get their swipes. You know what I mean? Like that's really where all their power is. You know, like Julio swings it hard. Haniger hit a freaking bomb last night. And what's his name? JP, whatever his name is. He was I wanted to bench him all game. The JP Crawford. He had just nothing to offer. Okay. So I think Hunter Green's a really, really good play here. Seattle coming off 9 runs, facing a pretty good righty, and it is still one of the best pitchers parks. So I like that. And then Gilbert, 9,500 is a little healthy to say the least, but and not that Cincinnati's bad or anything like that. It's a good park for him. He's a really good pitcher, and listen, I expect a similar type of performance as what's his name gave Gilbert. He gave up some hits. He wasn't perfect, but give me my Gilbert 6 innings on FanDuel or whatever, and give me my 20 points on DraftKings. I think it's reasonable.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough.
And no hitting for me.
Yeah. I don't have any hitting in that game as well. And I, for what it's worth, I have Gilbert slightly ahead of Green. I think they're like really close. I think Gilbert's a little bit safer to have a decent outing. I think Green is probably a little more strikeout upside, but I think they're very, very close, both of them.
And then in the last game, I guess I'll start off with you have the Dodgers coming off a loss against Patrick Corbin. I mean, ouch. Can I tell you? Yeah. They're going to have a really big total. And unfortunately, I think you can get to them today.
Yeah.
So they're going to be popular, but what team has like 10 run upside? You know what I mean? In this, right. And that's what they have in the spot. So they're the top play, I think, no matter how you slice it. Watch for the lineups. And one thing that was interesting, just by the way, is that they did swap out like 7, 8, and 9 hitter last night. I believe when they had to. And listen, that they like to do this sometimes.
Oh, they're going to do it. Yeah.
Yeah. So which was actually very fortunate for me because again, I needed them to get around the lineup a little bit. And sometimes when you need them to get around the lineup, you also have to like wait. But if this guy gets a hit, is someone else going to get fantasy points? But they were all pinch hitters, you know what I mean? So right. So I just needed them all to just kind of let them score as many as they want, Anyway, all the Dodgers. And you listen, and no problem playing Freeman, obviously against the lefty. Play as many as you can play, and listen, if you run into one of those games where Patrick Corbin does his thing and the Dodgers don't score a lot of runs, that's just the way baseball goes. But it's certainly the best. Certainly, as far as I'm concerned, it's the best stack. And I'm getting like a point per dollar projection out of like Ryan Yarbrough, but I mean he's not gonna pitch enough, right? He used to never pitch enough. I don't know what he does now.
I mean, he pitches basically like Yeah, but yeah, I definitely don't feel comfortable that I can promise that he's going to pitch more than a few innings.
Yeah, I pass. So it's going to be Dodgers for me, and then it's as many of them as you can get, without getting way too chalky. I would try to get.
Yeah, it's a tricky one a little bit. I actually don't mind one way of getting different. You have some value on the other side in Washington. I don't mind a little bit of value to balance out the Dodgers side of it. You know what I mean?
What's the weather there today?
It's at 66 degrees, going to be wind blowing out 10 miles an hour, pretty much, good hitting conditions for this time of year. Not the perfect ones, but good. It's not pouring rain like it was all weekend. So I think it's pretty clear the Dodgers are the top stack on the board. They are going to have some ownership, but again, you can't get them all in. Like if to get just Shohei, Mookie, and Freddie in, and then we may have Andy Pages, the young Cuban kid, coming up tonight, and he's 2K, so he might be in there. The value option. Then you've got Kike Hernandez. For what it's worth, Miguel Rojas, not usually a guy we use, and not that you have to take everything from a 33 at bat sample size, but for whatever reason, he's a 40 at bat sample size. Miguel Rojas has crushed Patrick Corbin. He's hitting like 450 off of him with 3 home runs and a couple of doubles. Another value you could use to make the Dodgers work. I think I am probably leaning towards the Dodger side of things, but one thing that I will definitely do is immediately I'll build a Houston and a stack and an Atlanta stack to just get off of what I think is going to be fairly chalky-ish Dodgers. And I don't think that, while I think they're better, there's a chance that Hunter Brown at this moment might be as bad as Patrick Corbin at this moment. So maybe Atlanta as the best pivot. And I think the Cubs would be the Cubs actually have Atlanta, then the Cubs, then Houston. But those are the teams that I'll be the most overweight on with a little San Diego today.
Chris Taylor is 2,800 as well. I don't know if he's going to start, but between him, the rookie you mentioned, Rojas 3,300,
Kike,
Will Smith's reasonable. Kike, I mean, if the lineup comes out the way it could, I mean, these guys could be jammed. These guys could be pretty popular. Which means that the other guys will be popular. You know what I mean? That means that all of. So listen, watch the lineups, and fortunately, I mean, you could wait if you wanted. I mean, because that's not true. So wait, what are these? What are the other pivots you like? So Houston, they're 8-10. And nobody else I really care about. I mean, if I want to play the Yankees, I guess I could do that. But like in big buy-ins and stuff. Dodgers will have their lineup out before like 8, won't they?
Yeah, they usually do.
Okay, yeah. So we'll be able to figure out what's going on.
Yeah.
And pitchers, how would you rank them? Would you go Green, Gilbert, Lynn in that order, or would you try to get?
I would probably go Gilbert, Green, probably Lynn, and then I think I would just take shots in the Jared Jones thing as my next one.
I like your idea, by the way. Just the fact that with rookiness comes upside and variance, which is sort of what you want. Depending on how else your lineup plays. Mm-hmm. I will say also that I'll tell you, who's been pretty resilient recently are the Mets. They've
how they're winning games.
Yeah, they were down 3-0 and just kind of like dead in the water, I think, yesterday. And then they just kind of like Jeff McNeil had like an inning. He hit like 2 stolen bases and then like whatever. I mean, like they're and they're doing like without Alonso, like doing anything.
Yeah. Oh, so, he got hot recently. He got hot over the weekend. He had
I happen to have been following yesterday he was 0-for-4 with a strikeout.
Yeah.
But look at him. He has 6 home runs. By the way, and Trout with another home run like it's nothing.
I know. It's pretty wild. It's interesting because I want to just touch on the Dodgers real quick because I get this all the time, and it happens all the time with the good teams, but especially with the Dodgers, people seem to think it. It's bizarre what's happening. They're running really bad in terms of how many runs they're scoring. You look at Mookie leads the league in basically almost every offensive category. Leads the National League. Shohei leads all of baseball in extra base hits and is hitting 350. Freddie Freeman is having a slow start, so he's only hitting 300. Will Smith is hitting 370. These are the top 4 in their lineup. And the fact that the problem is everybody at the bottom of the lineup is hitting like 110. But one of those days you're going to get the 50% of the guys reach 7 through 9, and they're going to end up scoring like 15 runs. But they just haven't been hitting.
I think Lux has like 5 hits this season or something like that.
Yeah, they've really been struggle city for him. Kike's hitting 180. Chris Taylor's hitting 30. I guess Chris Taylor, I think, only has like 3 hits. And he's played a lot. But it's pretty remarkable how bad they've been so far.
This is quite an amazing stat line here.
It is nuts, right?
He has 1 hit, and obviously it was not an extra base hit.
Right. And even like Rojas has hit a couple home runs, but he's hitting 2. It's just not everybody's going to hit less than 200 or 200 or ish at the bottom of the orders. They're going to start scoring.
He did have an RBI yesterday, though, Chris Taylor. He had a sacrifice fly, I think.
That's right. All right. So anything else? I'm going to be live solo at at 6. I'm going to drive back up to Santa Barbara and get all my stuff together on the way.
There's a chance I can make live, but I'm hoping I won't be able to put it together.
Yeah, gotcha. Cool. All right. Well, good luck to everybody today. See you live at 6 Eastern, and hopefully we can get Sheets 8 spots better, and hopefully I can improve by like 400 spots.
Sounds good to me.